chances are you are on COVID-19 lockdown. Thank you very much, Chinese government. I'd like to talk to you today about my first true love, which is in martial arts, Wing Chun Kung Fu. I had the good fortune of learning Wing Chun from Chris Chan in San Francisco in the early 90s. It was a great school. There were no belts, there were no ranks, there were no formalities, there were no uniforms. You just went in there and you trained hard, and it was really a great experience. Now, when Chris Chan, he emigrated here in late 50s, early 60s, along with Bruce Lee. They were a couple years apart, but they were peers together back in Hong Kong, learning under Yip Man. And of course, Bruce Lee went on to become very famous. And if you watch his Jeet Kune Do, you'll see that his hands and punches are very much Wing Chun. So the last couple of decades, Wing Chun's really kind of exploded in popularity, and it's branched out to a whole bunch of different schools. And everybody claims to have studied under Yip Man. Well, it's true that in the course of his life, he taught hundreds, if not thousands, of students. And so there's quite a few people who can claim to be students of Yip Man. When Chris Chan came here from Hong Kong, he was smaller in stature than most Americans, and he quickly realized that to teach here, he had to be really strong. And so, because most of his students were faster and bigger and stronger. And so what he did, his focus in his training had always been power. And he did that. There's no magical, no magic death touch or anything like that. But what he did do a lot, and spent hours and hours of his lifetime doing, was punching a sandbag and hitting the wooden dummy. And the result was, and he also practiced his forms using a lot of tension. And what that did for him was to give him a punch that felt like a hammer. And it was really quite an amazing thing. And I venture to say that in his 80s now, he can still punch the daylights out of just about anybody. So what is Wing Chun and what is it not? I would say that Wing Chun is very practical. It is not the ultimate martial art, but I'm not going to go down that road because you got the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu people who think their art is the best, and you've got the Wing Chun people who think whatever. It really doesn't matter to me. In my own journey in martial arts, I've been looking for the Holy Grail all these years, and I take what I like and I pass on what I don't like. The things that I like, I incorporate and move on. Now, Wing Chun has branched out in many ways, like I mentioned. There are people who are very soft in Wing Chun, almost like Tai Chi-ish. There are people like Chris Chan who just emphasize power, power, power. I believe that the power, power, power will serve you better than the touchy-feely, gather chi type of Wing Chun. Because quite frankly, in any kind of violent encounter, there's going to be overwhelming violence and overwhelming force. And if you look at any street encounter on YouTube, and there's a bazillion of them, you'll see that it's like the firstest with the mostest. And whoever gets that first injury is going to win the day. And they generally achieve that by overwhelming violence and force. So, if you're into the feeling the person's ki and whatnot, well, good luck with that in those milliseconds that you need as you're being brutalized. And therefore, I like the Chris Chan style of Wing Chun, which emphasizes power. And so while you're on COVID-19 lockdown, I can teach you the Sil Lim Tau, which is the first form. And I can show you how to do that with tension so that it really becomes an isometric exercise using your whole body. We'll talk about some of what I like about that first form, the Sil Lim Tau. It really contains everything you need to know in Wing Chun. And so we'll break it down and discuss what each move means, so you're just not mindlessly moving your hands and legs when you're doing it. And you can challenge yourself. You'll never reach perfection in this. That's the beauty of it. It's kind of like the golf swing. No matter how many times you practice that damn game, it's still going to bedevil you somehow. And so really doing the Sil Lim Tau really becomes you're chasing excellence and you're chasing perfection and trying to do it correctly throughout. And that's part of the fun. So we'll talk about the Sil Lim Tau, what the moves mean. We'll talk about sandbag training, and we'll discuss a little bit about the wooden dummy. And at least while you're in lockdown in COVID-19, you'll be able to utilize some of this to do your training at home. So good luck with that, and let me know if you got any questions. You got anything to add to that?